Peace, family. This is your boy Gerald. It's Sunday, the 16th of June, 2019. How is everybody doing? It's almost 10:30 in the morning here in Virginia Beach. It is sunny, a little overcast, not much. And I feel compelled to reach out to you. So I got my coffee and looking like I done just got out of correctional custody. But it's not that. It's just I just got my hair uh, retwisted, and to I'm trying to maintain it. I really am. I really am. I got a lot that I want to put out. I'm trying to be concise, so you just got to follow with me. Make some points, but I'm gonna try to tie everything all up all together. But first of all, let me not be rude. Let me not be rude. Let me not. All right. So, first and foremost, to the intended heart, intended mind, from me to you, I want to extend a very heartfelt salutations to those who have earned the right to be called Father. Happy Father's Day. No, you're not going to be able to rest. It don't work for us. It don't. But there's a reason why. There's a reason why you are not only being shown what you're shown and the responsibility that comes with it can be sometimes daunting, can sometimes be very tiresome, sometimes feel as if you're not appreciated. And I'm saying that for a couple reasons. Yesterday, I had the opportunity afforded to me to attend a high school graduation, which is a major milestone for everybody that has a loved one, a child, directly or indirectly, that you have given senselessly, selflessly your energy in their development. And it is a marker not only in their development, but their life. This is something that you can't put a price on. And no matter wherever they go, they will always take with them. So I wanted to first extend this out, this salutations, this greeting to you, because you might not be afforded that phone call. You might not be able to have that contact. You might not feel that your merits that came from a sincere place within your being, your spirit, is actually valued. I want to let you know, just like you take a seed, right? A regular seed. And you plant that seed, there's two things going to happen. It's going to either cultivate or it's going to adapt to the environment that it's in, which means that there must be a decision to commit to the roots that are being planted, the commitment and time to oversee it, as well as allow it to be. You know, we sometimes we get too comfortable or we allow our environment to overshadow the little things. And you'll come to understand in your journey, not only it's the little things that have the greatest impact, but you'll come to find out that those same little things will be defined as priceless because you can't put a price on it. They're measured by time. Now, if this was a perfect world, mankind would have been able to master time. But this is something that no one, no creation will be able to do. So there must be a respect that is earned by circumstance or by commitment to see the value of what's given. And the commonality was a celebration of this milestone. And let me not be rude, because I know that the intended heart, the intended mind, if not now, you too will be afforded to see and understand these milestones when they occur. How they're measured will be adjudicated by the value. Let that sink in. But let's go back to the seed. We know the smallest seed, and I could be wrong, the smallest seed that exists is the mustard seed, right? And I could be totally wrong, but work with me. It's teeny. It's like the head of a pin, right? You have to look at it for not only how fragile it is, but nobody looks at it from a perspective of the value of when it comes to its full culmination of what it is, the importance of it. Now let's flip it. Let's look at the human dynamic in regards to your relationships. See, everything that you'll come to know, there must be a commonality. There must be a reason why the attraction is there. It could be based off of agenda, but a lot of times it's based off of securing time for an effect or a decided upon outcome. But a lot of times, because we are taught at a young age, directly or indirectly, by situation or distraction, we kind of lose sight of it. It becomes something that is placed in a pecking order or priority and tends to go on autopilot. But let me stop right there, because I know there's going to be somebody that doesn't have time and they just want to hear this. Happy Father's Day. Your actions matter. So you got that? Your actions matter because your actions are nothing more but a living definition of you. So y'all remember when I used to always say in my videos, do you know who you are? Do you remember? And I know sometimes it would come off stoic, but we tend to demarginalize the things that should have the greatest importance. But I know that because we live in a world that things have been more or less compartmentalized to what's tangible. If I cannot touch it, if I cannot control it, it has no measurement. It just is. Well, you can't touch your direction. You feel it. You can't control your story, but it impacts you. That is why, as long as I have air in my lungs, I will always speak this into existence. Your life is supposed to be nothing but a celebration of your existence. I don't have to remind you outside your door that it is in contrast. It is about the ebbs and flows of choices made, the adjustments required, and the reflections after the fact. So I was just out in my garage, excuse me, and I got my garage door open. And originally, before I put this video, before I went live, my first intent was I was going to go out to my deck and I was going to film from there. And I have two trees that overshadow the trestle of my deck. And with all the weather, the yard is green. The two garden boxes, they're growing. But one thing that always commands attention about the deck is the trees have purple blooms on it, and they overshadow the leaves that come from it. And when I first moved here, almost 2 years ago, I noticed like it was beautiful to see, but something was off. And I couldn't put my finger on it because the purple, I don't even want to call them flowers because they're really not. But the first thing that I noticed, good morning, is it reminded me of lavender. If you've ever seen what lavender looks like, and I've got it covered all over these two trees. They're about approximately 15 to, they're less than 20 feet in height. And when I first moved here, the first thing I did was I started pruning the branches. I started pruning it, and you know, it's no secret on my downtime when I'm off, I'm always in the yard. And one of the reasons why I'm in the yard is because it helps me think. You know, that's my one behavior that my energy is put back into the environment. No different than the farmer. Or some of y'all remember the biblical term of the one that casts the seeds. You know, you sow your seeds, right? And since I've been here, I've nurtured the property around this house to, it was better than the owners. But it wasn't because I didn't like what I saw, which wasn't the case. I knew that I was putting love into whatever I did. And I knew, we can even say manifestation wise, I already knew that through time, I would yield what efforts I put in. So I just so happened, well, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, I was riding around our municipal area, and some of y'all unfortunately know about, you heard about the shooting that occurred nearly now, it's almost 2 weeks now. And I remembered that some of the four-way stops around that area, they had a certain plant that the landscape guys put out there. And just so happened I'm at the light, and I happened to look over because it caught my eye, and I realized that that plant was actually the tree I got. So I asked my landlord, because I'm renting this right now, because I haven't decided where I want to put my roots down to buy my house. So this is kind of like an ongoing dry run, so I can say, well, you know what? I want to live here. This is the type of house I want. It may, if I get it built or if it's already pre-existing. And this is hands-on experience, so that the property that I will have, it just gives me examples to draw from when that time comes. But then I immediately took care of what I needed to take care of. And when I came back, I went out to the backyard and I looked at that tree. And I was like, that tree is really a plant. That tree became this plant. I mean, no, the tree was a plant and it evolved into a tree. Now, I wanted to wait a couple weeks because I'm going to buy some software, and I'm going to change up the formats of how I do my videos out to you guys. But I would be remiss not to add this. So what I'm going to do right now, bear with me, because I want to show you these trees, and then I'm going to come back in here. So I had the John Wick on right here. Yeah. So bear with me. My place is a little cluttered because I got my coffee going, and I'm walking out to my garage. See the vehicles out there. But I want you guys to see what I'm talking about. And every time the sun is out. It is the florals off this tree, but it ain't a tree. It's really a plant, and it just commands your attention. Y'all ready for this? Watch this when I turn it around. Can you see that? Hold on, I'm gonna get a little closer because I know once I walk over there, I know Ming and Tyson gonna go freaking off because they're in the kitchen, they're in the kennels. But look, here's a better one because it's dark here. See the bees. I'm hoping that you guys can see it. I'm hoping because I'm playing with I'm shooting from my laptop. Yeah, see that? There you go. This is my deck. I don't have the umbrella up, but there you go. Now, there you go. Right? So it's beautiful in the morning because you see all that purple. And for those who have a understanding biblically what the color purple is all about, and you know, to turn around and come home every day, that's my reminder that not only are you here, but there's a reason for it all. Some of y'all may know that as synchronicity. Some of y'all may rationalize it as just basic nuances. Some of y'all may even just say, well, that's just coincidental, Drew. But how many things, how many events, there you go, plugged up. How many examples do you have to see to realize that it's not by chance? Nothing is by chance. Everything you are being shown, even when you are afraid, because let's be honest. If you had it your way, you would be where you want to be at right now. It would match the rhythm of your heart. You would be there right now, but there's a reason why you are where you are. So why won't you give yourself more credit? Maybe now is the moment that all is being shown to you is not only validation to that point, but what's being required is for you to survey and assess where you've been. Because we can all agree that no one's promised the completion of their day. You're not, there's no such thing as immortals. Come on now. Even though scientists are going to have a certain narrative, and I know some of y'all doing research on that and they're talking about, some of y'all might know about the Sumerian civilization and the Anunnaki and, but if it looked like a dog, wag like a dog, bark like a dog, why you can call it something else? We already know that that was divine action. You already know that. Sumerians and Anunnaki is nothing but the fallen angels that were cast down here. Come on now, we only use 6% of our brain. Who are our teachers? Who was the original being. Who taught man? It wasn't man. Where did the knowledge come from? Just want to throw that caveat out there to get back to my point. See, your life story is already written. It is your experience and the effect of that experience that will be the narrative of discovery. And yesterday, uh, after I attended the graduation ceremony, first of all, let me back up. I was very moved while in attendance. Ceremony hadn't even started, and I could feel the energy in the air. I could feel it, and the rituals that come with it that go back to the beginning of time, and I could feel the celebration, but I also could feel the release of the task involved. You know, I would always mention to you the greatest gift you will ever be afforded and bestow is your presence, to bear witness. Sometimes what's required is for you to be still, take in what is being shown. And you might not realize in the end game of things why. Why am I seeing this? But more importantly, why am I feeling this? Because guess what? Let's take that scenario of that they had at the convention center. Had over 1,000 people in there, a little less, give or take. They were all come together. They all came together for one commonality, and that was to celebrate their lineage, those who are going to walk behind them, and the efforts made. Some may look at that as sacrifice, but when it comes to your legacy, what won't you do to protect it? I mean, think about it. And yes, Ray, it is royalty, but it also means that was the color of the sash of the angel. That's why Prince was so driven to it. That's why his whole symbolism was about purple, right? So you're exactly correct. But it also taps into the design, the divine, and not trying to be winded. These last 2 weeks have been hard to grasp words because in these last 2 weeks, I've had to deal with the reality of a choice, the effects of a community, as well as the realization of what's to come if not responsible. And then in the same breath, I found I got to talk to a loved one that I'm connected to by blood. And I've been very heavy on my learning my history Yeah, I know, because some of y'all, and I'm saying this with love, I know the first time you saw me, you were like, "What are you? What are you?" I ain't worried about that. That's a question I've had to answer and deal with all my life. But I got validation um, for in a couple of in two different ways. One, because I've been doing research too. Um, I actually have been talking. I was talking to my mom. My mom revealed, like, yeah, we're Cherokee. Look at your nose. Look at your cheekbones. Look like chin. Look at your complexion. If it looked like a dog, wags like a dog, it's a dog. But see, I'm looking at it from a perspective of our elders now. You know, the ones that, if you look at your family tree, if you're able to do so, you will come to understand that depending on how far you go, you're going to see somebody look just like you. And it's going to be uncanny. Now, family, give me 30 seconds because I've got a huge, looks like a brown hornet on my wood floor by my dinner table. He just chilling, and I'm gonna try not to kill him. And he probably came in through the door. So give me a second, because I don't need him. He's not paying no rent, but he needs to go. So give me a second, okay? All right, how am I gonna do this? And while I'm doing that, I'm gonna grab some more coffee. I'll be right back. All right. You'll come to see that, you'll come to understand it's the littlest things that you do when you show kindness, kindness will be bestowed back to you. Give me one sec. All right. He's gone. All right. Thank you for your patience. I'm back. But, you'll come to understand that it's those little things because it's free will. If it comes from a pure place, it will come back. It will come back. Kind of like that's, y'all remember the child story of Hansel and Gretel and how they used uh, breadcrumbs because they wanted to find their way home. And, that was their way. But has anybody ever considered that maybe the things that were shown to you either by repetitive narrative, not only by one person or another, or indirectly because you happen to be somewhere and you hear something that is so definitive that it causes you to reflect on something that you need to do, or really nothing but spiritual breadcrumbs for you to find your identity. You ever thought about that? I'm not trying to confuse y'all. I just want y'all to throw that in your emotional backpack, because we all can agree that if you don't take time to look what you compartmentalize, it'll get heavy. You may realize that you're carrying something or someone that can stand on their own. And it can be daunting at times. It can be daunting. That's why it's important that we must allow ourselves to critically think, as well as you notice that socially, as a community, that we've become more saturated in information and we have to discern. Doesn't mean that you are being a bad person. You must look at it from a perspective of value, but more important, longevity. Now, I was thinking, why is it that as a community, we tend to hold on to things that do not serve us? We can agree that there's someone you're connected to, someone you know that may feel less than, but yet they have access to your life. And here's my point. Here's a good example. You remember, if you've seen the movie, y'all remember the movie Eminem did called 8 Mile, and how his story, even though I know some of they Hollywood they use Hollywood to, you know, to fluff in the parts. But the main thing was, when you look at your fears and take accountability of those fears, they can't be weaponized. So why is it that families still to this day choose to have family secrets? Is it because of the fact that the truth has more power than it should? Or is it because of acknowledgement requires preparation to be transparent? You ever think about that? For example, and I don't want to stray, but I gotta use this. Okay, we know that right now, one of the social narratives that are being used is to cause you, Queen, to second guess your choice. We already know the government's going to try to legislate its position about if you should have the right in being a mother or not. Now, what about the offspring that come from that? Do we demonize them? Do we ostracize a choice? Because at the end of the day, we are working with the skill set that we have at that moment before that said decision is made. I'm just throwing that part out to get to this point. That's still your family. Now let's look at it from a historical standpoint. If you ask the average person, where your family from? Some can go maybe third, fourth generation, maybe. But in that lineage, there must be someone that has to chronicleize what is truth, that is unbiased, and must protect it no matter what, even from themselves, to a degree that it stays with the integrity of that truth. And I say that because there's still a lot of people, family to this day. You got family that may be in the proximity of you and you don't even know it. You could be walking down the same street and you look and somebody's like, man, we look like we could be kindred, kindred, same spirit. But there's still a responsibility that is found within yourself from the moment you took your first breath. It's called your legacy, family, because we're not going to be afforded the opportunity to live forever. We're not. There's going to come a time where all that you have done, all that you have impacted, good, not so good, will be reviewed. So I ask you, what's keeping you from smiling? What's keeping you loyal to your fear? What's keeping you from knowing who you really are? Yes, I understand there may be some things that were not in your control. But if you hear my voice, tap into that beautiful mind. You will have the courage to ask the questions when it's time. The child eventually becomes the parent. The parent, if it's divinely meant, will become the elder. Good morning. And all that is connected, all that you have surveyed, all that you have been granted to see will be measured. This is when you finally come to a place within yourself where you can be comfortable. You don't have to be the bull in the china shop because you're afraid to be yourself. And not to sound sarcastic, but you do understand as long as you choose not to invest in who you are, there will always be someone that will benefit from that. That's where that opportunity comes from. Because see, they know who you are. They know your gifts from the first hello. And they may try to weaponize themselves to keep you distracted. Some people may know that as sex magic, which is nothing but someone being in tune with the physical prowess and knows how to project it strategically. It could also be an example of symbolism through financial security. You realize how many people are financially secure, but they're emotionally depleted because they have invested so much time in an environment that does not yield them freedom. That's what real enslavement's about, family. Now I'm looking at this clock and it says 50 minutes in. I did not want to do this. So I got to expand on this on another video later on. And I will. So I'm going to bring this to a close, but I want to share this to each and every one of you. I want to change the format of my channel. There's so much I want to show you. So much. But right now, I'm only limited to either I can take bring my Samsung and do it and then just upload it. But I prefer to connect with you. Real time. It is 11:15 Eastern Standard Time in sunny Virginia Beach right now. Why? Because you're owed that. So, not trying to sound like Keith Sweat and be begging, but family, I've got to get my subscription base up to 1,000. That's the benchmark for YouTube to let you live stream wherever you're at. I understand that. So, if you can help me with that, I would greatly appreciate that. As I've always said from day one, share my videos. Each one, teach one, love one. But you love yourself first. Now, you might be in a situation right now where you feel the weight of the world. That's not the weight of the world. That's your spirit wanting to grow. And you may truly desire truth. You have a right to that. You have a duty to that. Because, see, one day, maybe someone connected by blood or bone, they're going to ask you your story. And you have the right to tell it. But make sure it's authentic. Because, yesterday yesterday I kind of went by the oceanfront, right? I was going to go back down there after the ceremony, but there was so much energy going on down there, and it kind of, I was like, no, I can't. Y'all empaths know about that. Like, it's too much. And I decided to just come home. I should have burnt some sage, but I didn't. Um, but I plan on taking you down to the oceanfront so you can see, walk on the beach, allow the waves to cascade on my feet, get those pure minerals so they connect to your meridians in your feet. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But from me to you, I love each and every one of you. I want you to have a very, very harmonious, incredible summer. Now, yes, it's going to be hot, family. But you know what else is going to be hotter than that? Some of y'all going to have revelations. Some of y'all are going to have things come right here. You're going to have to decide, do I champion it or do I allow it to control me? And then some of y'all are about to turn the page in your life. You might not think you're ready, but your chapter is about to change. It is. That may be because of maybe you're having a new opportunity, maybe relocating to another area. And it might just be intellectual because you're going to see things like, and you're going to have those aha moments. Don't be afraid of that. Because when you're afraid of that, you're really doing a disservice to you. You're saying to yourself, I'm not ready. Yes, you are. That's why you're there. Now, trade-off is this. When you embrace it, watch the ripples. So what do you mean by ripples, Gerald? You're going to watch your environment shift. Things that you know that you had access, you will see a perspective where you realize that you have to willfully release that to receive. You know what I'm saying? It's like you can't go forth if you're going back. You can't occupy the same space. You're either there or you're there. But between those 2 points is the now. Not to sound morbid, kind of the same thing you see on somebody's lifeline, huh? Born date, going home date, the now. And what is the now? The narrative, your legacy, your truth. Claim it, affirm it, transcend. Why? Because we're talking about you. Because no matter what, family, you will always be. And what ends up happening, you have to decide. Do I go forth or do I stand still? Maybe what's required is you to be silent. Doesn't mean you're being methodical. It just means that you're being intellectual with your decisions. You're critically thinking. And just like that seed, it will eventually become a tree. But to go back to what I was saying originally, family, I'm going to show you guys what it looks like normally. Y'all saw the trees. I got another one on the side of the house. But I'm going to show you what it normally looks like. I'm going to take a picture of it and I'm going to add it I'm going to add it in there so you can see what I'm talking about. And that's the same thing. That's an example of you. Don't let nobody turn around and say, you ain't going to do this. You can't do that. Who said? Whose heartbeat is it? Whose breath? Whose foundation? And don't worry about those you've been connected with. Yeah, I can turn around and minimize it and say people come into your life for a reason or a season. Let me tell you something. There's a difference between the soulmate and the soul tie. The soul tie is the lesson. The soulmate is the guidance. But let's not ignore its spirit, your spirit. That's why this evolves, it ages. But that little boy and little girl's still there, ain't it? So love yourself. Happy Father's Day. If you haven't taken a second, reach out to those who've made an impact in your life. Put your pride to the side. What's 5 minutes? That's 5 minutes you can't get back. So give people their flowers while they're above ground, not below. Love y'all. God's praying for you. You know I am. I see your worth. And for that, it helps me discern mine. Why? Because we walking together. Now, what you gonna do? You gonna define your story, or you gonna let somebody tell it?